Hello everybody, this is Steve, your everyday guy here, and today we're going to talk a little bit about batteries. So we've had warm weather all the way through until December when it actually hit the first cold snap, and so now this week it's been less than 1 degrees Fahrenheit every day, which means my battery hasn't wanted to start. Normally you get a little warning as your battery starts to fade. In the summertime it's kind of hard to crank over well. Sometimes in winter when that cold snap hits instantly, your battery just won't start the car, and the reason is it's called cold cranking amps. Cold cranking amps is what's referred to as when the weather gets cold, the amount of amperage that your battery will put out. You'll notice when you look at your battery, there's two amps listed. There's the amperage and the cold cranking amps, and you notice the cold cranking amps is typically about 60% of what the actual cranking amps is. And so what that means is your battery might run fine all summer long, but when the first time that cold freeze hits, it won't start up. So before we get to that, watch the intro and we'll show you how to replace the battery. So in the 2014 Buick Enclave, the battery enclosure is located right here behind the passenger seat. And to get to it and to replace the battery, you only really need two tools. This is a T20 Torx. That's going to fit right there to remove it. And then when we get inside, this is a 10mm wrench. That is what we're going to use to remove the terminals. So the first thing we need to do to be able to access it is we just need to pull this little piece out. After a few minutes of fiddling with it, I found out you just simply pull it straight up and there's clips that release. Oh man, that one does not want to let go. There we go. Show you what was holding it in. You see these little clips, they just snap right in, so it kind of just pulls right off. Now we've got that off. The next step we're going to do is we're going to take our Torx, which is right there, and that's going to fit on there. Now, I typically recommend that you do this by hand because these are bolts and screws that are really easy to strip out. So this is a variable speed clutch right there. I've got mine turned all the way down to 2, and that way it does not put a whole lot of force on there. And I'm just going to slowly back that out. Now that I've got that back down, I'm going to set the screw aside so I don't lose it. And then we're just going to pull, that just pulls right up. No trick to that at all. Now down here, you're going to see the battery. So what we're going to do, is I'm going to switch this out. And when you're disconnecting the battery, as a rule of thumb, I generally do the ground first. And the reason is that the entire vehicle is grounded. So when you, if the ground touches the ground, you're fine. You don't have to worry about any sparks. Well, that looks like that's a little tight. Some people will use torque wrenches when they're doing this work. I don't like to do that. And the reason is you can cause a lot of damage real quick with a torque wrench. So that's why I'm using just a standard drill today instead of a torque. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen this by hand. Talking about, see how this is swinging side to side? Since it's grounded, I don't have to worry about a spark. If this was the positives and I was touching that, you'd see sparks flying everywhere. Alright, so I've got that removed. Now the trick is you don't want this to flop back on there while you're doing the positive, because if you do, you're going to create the circuit again. So now we're going to release these clips here. Alright. Now I've got that off. I'm going to go ahead and loosen that up. It was about 3 degrees out when I shot this video, so you can see that I'm wearing gloves and the steam coming out of my mouth. I'll tell you, you had this one on there tight. As you're watching my videos, please take time to hit the like and subscribe button. That lets me know that you're enjoying the videos I'm watching and that I'm doing a good job. Also, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Comment down below. I love hearing from you guys. I try to get back to you within 24 hours. That lifts right up. And that all pulls out. And of course, we're going to disconnect this. That pulls right off there. And what that is that's just simply another ground wire. There I have the new battery ready to connect. As I was taking the old battery out, I discovered there's a wedge that held it into place. I forget what socket that was, but you'll want to be sure and install that back once you get that new battery put in there. And the reason is that if you don't, the battery's going to be rattling in there, and in the event that you end over in a rollover accident or something like that, that battery is heavy, about 60 pounds. It will fly out and be rattling around the back of your vehicle. And if you're transporting small children, think about a 50-pound weight smacking them as they get rolled over. So be sure and put that wedge in and make sure that battery is secured tightly. The other thing is you want to make sure and install that before you connect the battery terminals to the post. Here you can see me hooking up the positive wire, and when you're putting this back together, remember you want to connect positive first before you connect that ground. That way, if while you're connecting that positive you make contact with the side, you don't have to worry about any sparks because you're not completing a circuit. So that's why you want to make sure and connect that positive first. Now that we have all the wires connected, we are ready to put it all back together. So now I'm going to put the cover back on. And now that we have the cover back on, the battery, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put the plastic cover that goes along the seat rails and get where that simply snaps right down into place. This has been Steve, your everyday guy. Thanks for watching. Please hit the like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you guys in my next video.